We are now going to have a presentation by the Information and Communication Services known as ICS. If you heard in Prof. Mazibuko's presentation, she did indicate that students are issued with laptops, and this is the unit that during registration will be inundated with a number of requests from students, because they are the ones who actually provide these laptops to students. And also over and above that, on the academic side, they also deal with issues like Turnitin and other IT-related systems that assist as well students and also academic staff in terms of providing a service. So without any further ado, I hand over to ICS to do their presentation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning, my name is Chetty. I'm from ICS, Academic Computing, and my presentation is on navigating from traditional teaching and learning to online learning and the support that ICS and Academic Computing have provided. So the idea behind this is, I think there'll be like 3 sort of sessions around it. I'll talk a little bit about the history, how we got to this point, what it took us to actually move or to transition from traditional to an online environment, and where we are currently since the pandemic. So a little bit about the history, the e-learning challenges. For a number of years, we've been trying to move to a blended environment at the university. And there were several challenges around it. I think one of the big challenges was that we didn't have an e-learning policy that could have been implemented at the university. We had sprockets of academics all trying to get this off the ground, but it never really took off. So there were some of the challenges that we had. In that time, we obviously had people working in an online environment, trying to create this blended environment. We used a product called Kaltura Community. So Kaltura is a video on-demand product, and this product, so Kaltura is a video on-demand product, and we had the community-based version available to us. We had a previous product where we had a whole lot of videos on it, and eventually we didn't re-sign that agreement. We had to move to a new software. So Kaltura Community was freely available, and that's what we started using. So we had some proof of concept around it. When the pandemic hit, then we were forced to move into the online mode, and we bought Kaltura, the enterprise version of it. And I'll just discuss a little bit around the Kaltura plan and what we did with that. I think everyone is fairly familiar with this. Our learning management system at UKZN is Moodle. It's used quite extensively, especially now that we are online or we blended. The address to access it is learn.ukzn.ac.za. And at any one time, or the average connections on Moodle is 30,000 active connections at one time in Moodle. So it's really heavily used. We've done a bit of distance learning on Moodle long before the pandemic had hit. There were a few faculties that were teaching on Moodle completely online. So the Kaltura rollout. We had a very stressful 3 weeks just before the shutdown in 2020, around March. We had purchased the product Kaltura, and we had to sort of get everyone on board on how it works and how it functions. We had some idea of how Kaltura worked, but we needed to train majority of the IT staff in order for training to have taken place on the campus. So the approach we used was we trained internally all our staff, or the staff that did some training on it, and we were not going to be able to support the entire university community. So we got the academic leaders involved. There were 19 schools, so 19 academic leaders, and we trained all of them on how to use the product with the intention of them training the academics in their schools. So, that rollout was pretty stressful at the time. We held several webinars, and everyone sort of had to to get to grips on how the product worked. It was really a tough time when we first started. Academics needed after-hours support. We were taking calls around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, supporting staff around it. A lot of documentation had to have been created. So it was quite a stressful time. The one thing I want to say about Kaltura, though, is so any video that's created on Kaltura, when a student accesses the video, only what that student watches is the time is the data that the student will pay for. But if there's any other content on Moodle, for example, if there's a video or something you're downloading, it downloads the entire thing. So Kaltura saves you in terms of it only uses the bandwidth for the time the student is on. So that's quite important to understand. I just put up a few graphs so you can see there's a 2021 and a 2020 and how much the product is being used. So in May of 2020, you can see the light blue graph at the top. If I can just point it out here, maybe not. We had 57,000 plays, and of this year in May it was 286,000. So it's a heavily used product. Something that I thought was very useful and important was the average drop-off rate. So if you look at the same times, so what this depicts is, so students start watching a video and then only 51% or an average of 53% drop off watching the video. So if you create long videos, the problem around that is students do not watch the entire thing. So that goes back to the point around blended learning on how you should be keeping your videos as short as possible. There's just some other interesting slides. We have a technology overview, which is expected. Majority of the users use a desktop, 80-odd%. A very small number mobile. The browser of choice is Chrome. I think we have a lot of smart people on campus. Over 90% of that is used. Operating system most definitely would be Windows. And I just thought I'll put in, this was quite interesting, the total number of countries, 146 countries where the videos were accessed from. The largest number being South Africa, but you have countries like Namibia, Canada, Germany. So there's 146 countries where the videos were played. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We also had to support, buying a product like Kaltura, it's data intensive. So we had to support the students and the academics around data. So ICS negotiated with the service providers, and these were sort of the deals that they've come up with. So students have anytime data and nighttime data, and you can see what's available to them. Another way we supported them was we invested in a chatbot. So the chatbot is quite interesting. We put it onto the UTLO site, which is for students. And as you can see, it's like any other chatbot. When you log onto the page, you can ask it questions and it redirects you. So the chatbot was quite useful. In terms of software, because we were not allowed on campus, we purchased software that students could use from home. So a lot of the software that we purchased were lab software. So labs could be created, the academics could use the software from their houses, and students would be able to log on and look at a prac as if they were on campus. We upgraded all our current licenses. We've got big discounts on them, so we're really fortunate. And the one big thing is our licenses don't allow students to use the software at home. So we had to negotiate with service providers to ensure that the software was now the students were able to use the software from home. I think the big one was around video conferencing tools. The three that's most popular is Zoom, Teams, and Skype. So those are the ones that we started using. I think a lot of us still use Zoom, and Teams is becoming a lot more popular now. So the Zoom video tool, you probably know that there is a free account. It's only 40 minutes, but the university had purchased accounts for all academics, which allowed academics to use the full duration of it. So that was with purchased accounts. We used the same thing. We had to train the trainer. A lot of academics needed training on how to use the content, how to work with it. So there was intensive staff training that had taken place. We also had to deal with bandwidth issues. Bandwidth is really expensive in the country. So there was a debate between Zoom and Teams. A lot of the documentation had to be compiled on how to use Zoom, how it works. Sort of a training manual was created. And some of the concerns around Zoom, if people are accessing your module without being there, that had to have also been addressed on campus. Just to continue on video conferencing, so recording of lectures, academics were trained on how to record their lectures. A lot of them use the UTLO studios where they come in, they record their lectures. And some of the advantages were we had to train them on how to use breakout rooms, waiting rooms. So it created an environment where you were on campus, but you broke out into different areas and you could have discussions. So it was a good teaching tool for them. We integrated Zoom with the Moodle, and that's how it currently works. And it's really easy to use. And we wanted to put it within Moodle because everyone accesses Moodle. So I think that was the big thing for us. The overall feedback from Zoom from the academics is that Zoom has been quite effective, the way it works and that type of thing. Just some Kaltura comments from some of the academics. So it's been an excellent tool. So if you look at the comments that are placed on here, maybe I'll just read one of them. Kaltura is probably the best thing that has ever happened to me. The platform is easy to understand and follow. Uploads are quick and effective. So we really had some advantages around that. We do have our help online, and the two sites that you can get to, or the two email addresses, learn@ukzn.ac.za. And if you have any data queries, then all data queries go to data@ukzn.ac.za. All right, thank you.